Okay, so what is the story with you supposedly being held hostage by gunpoint in your own home? I think it was in the late 80s, early 90s.
Well,
What's with that?
well, out of all the questions that you were given that you could have asked, that's a good one to start with. By the way, shout out to Birdeater Entertainment for these cool little toys they make.
Oh, the
Um,
glow in the dark.
yeah, it's little glow in the dark skulls. So Brian and Birdeater Entertainment, cheers. So back in the summer of 1991, I'm living in Peoria, Illinois, with a roommate, and we had been living in different houses. A buddy of mine who was also a guitar player in the Bloody Mess and the Scabs for a short period of time. And we were doing gigs and living like gypsies and just moving around. And we moved into a particular house in Peoria, and we had neighbors that we did not know, but we noticed that they had a lot of people coming in and out of their house, a lot of women and other people in particular. Didn't know what was going on there, but hey, none of my business. We had a revolving door of people coming in and out of our house because we were partiers. We were young men in our 20s. We had a lot of girls, a lot of musicians, a lot of parties, a lot of friends that came through the doors often. And they noticed us, the neighbors, and that we would be, hello, hello. We would exchange pleasantries. And then one night, the neighbor had come over 7, 8 o'clock at night. It was kind of dark. And he asked me if I wanted to smoke out with him, have a session. And I said, yeah. So I was kind of taken aback, wasn't really ready, but I was like, sure. Went to his Cadillac, which he had a big blue Caddy. It was a beautiful car. And we sat in the car, and he had some like trance-like music on. It wasn't rap or hip hop or world music. It was more like a trance music, like a low. Boom, boom, boom. It was like very eerie and kind of intense music. And he takes this pipe, and I think we're gonna smoke our cannabis. I'm like, hey, I'm in. I'm a smoker. We start smoking and things. I start kind of getting weird vibes, from the guy, and he's kind of giving me side glances as we're talking, like this instead of like straight on looking at me, and it was creepy. And that music, it was like, and then I look down in the pipe as I'm smoking, and I'm feeling more kind of leery of this guy. And all of a sudden, he's looking at me, and the music's out. I look at the pipe, and it's white. It's not green and red that we're smoking. It's a white substance. That's all I'll say. And I was kind of like, you've got to be kidding me. We went ahead. It was almost finished anyway, and I handed it back, and I probably hit it again. But the thing is, it was very weird because I didn't know what's going on with this guy. He was acting very suspicious of me, kind of standoffish, but yet invited me over to smoke with him. We're neighbors, just asking me my deal. I said, I'm a musician. We have a lot of friends over, partying a lot, bro. Just, whatever. And that was it. And when I left there, I didn't have a lot of good vibes from the guy, but I didn't have anything like horrible, bad. Flash forward to about 3-4 days later. We're having a party, or I'm having a party. And here's the details. A couple of friends of mine who happened to be 2 lesbian women I knew decided they wanted to party. I said, let's party. So they came over and they had a brown bag with them. And inside that brown bag were bottles of Robitussin, the cough syrup. And I'm like, interesting. What in the hell are you guys up to? What is this? Because I had no idea about that being a thing or whatever. So turns out Robitussin's a thing, and these girls, were into drinking it and using it to get high. And I was like, you've got to be kidding. And they explained to me, there was no internet then. I couldn't go just look it up. But they're like, this, if you drink it, it gets you this buzz, blah, blah, blah. And me being young 20s, stupid idiot, just kind of doing whatever. I'm like, all right, I'll try it once. It certainly wasn't peer pressure, folks. I willingly said, okay, I'll drink this stuff. And we did. And we smoked. And we did, And the next thing I'll skip ahead to the crazy stuff. All of a sudden, I remember my carpet and the floor was like waves. When I'm walking, it was like, oh my God. It was like I was trying to walk on water. And the carpet was moving, and I was like, my feet were going in the carpet. And I was like, it was like sludge-like everything was just like a time warp. And I was freaking. And I was like, oh my God. I remember thinking, I've never been this stoned on this kind of buzz or whatever. What am I, on Mars? Next thing you know, I am, it was a bummer. I started feeling nauseous, And I don't know how long into the buzz this was. It could have been 10 minutes. It could have been an hour. I don't know. But all I remember is puking, getting sick, and I remember just kind of lights out. And next thing I know, it's probably the next day at like 10, 11 o'clock or noon, and maybe noon. And I wake up and I'm just like in this weird position on my floor. I'm half off, half on the bed. I had vomited. It was really a disgusting mess. My friends were gone. And I was like, what in the holy hell happened? So I owned up to the fact that I had made a pretty dumb decision, a bad choice the night before. And I was like, wow, holy hell. And I thought, I am so hungry I could eat, a whale. So I went to the local Avanti's in Peoria, Illinois, and shout out to Peoria because that place, they all know Avanti's. Good stuff. I went to Avanti's, right? And I leave my house, lock the door, get in my car, drive the 2 miles to Avanti's, get my food, come back home, and unlock the door because it's locked, of course. Walk in the door. I get up and I'm already up. I turn around and I'm inside my house now, right? And I got the door and I'm pulling it shut. And as I'm doing that, all of a sudden, when I pull the door shut, an arm comes around me, a human arm, around my neck and choked me out and pulled me towards him. And I heard him saying some explicit words. Basically, I'm going to, end your life kind of stuff. And calling me names, derogatory names. And I was freaking, man. Completely heart racing like it is now thinking about it. I was literally just like, oh my God. And he had me by the neck. And this guy had a gun to my head. And he put a crowbar, the sharp end of a crowbar, right here under my chin, right here, this part of my neck. And he told me over and over again, and this is a guy who's smoking that white substance, mind you, that's probably just in a really weird zone. And I'm freaking. This guy's holding me, man, and he's threatening to take this crowbar and shove it straight up through my head, up through to my brain. That's how I'm gonna go. And I was taking it very seriously. I was like, wow, this is gonna be how it goes. Unbelievable. And so me being a lifelong salesman, basically, and teller of truths, I get in trouble for talking the truth a lot. Saying things that are true. You're not supposed to say certain things. So I thought, you know what? If you're going to save yourself, you're going to have to really work this one, buddy. And I started with compassion. Hey, I thought we got high together yesterday. Hey, I'm not racist. Hey, everything in the book, because of our differences and our ages, our races, things like that. And the guy said to me, he quoted one of those movies. He said, it's nothing personal. And he said something that was in a gang movie that had been out not too long before that. It's nothing personal. It's just like business or whatever. I'm like, dude, you're threatening to off me. It's personal. But he went on to explain to me that he had come from Chicago and he was in a gang up there, which is very known, called the Black Gangster Disciple Nation. And I was kind of petrified at that point because he wasn't kidding. And I remember his name all of a sudden. I could not remember his name tonight, man. It starts with a W. I guess it doesn't matter if I say his name because it's not I don't know his last name. It was Will. And like, Will, you or won't you hurt me? Well, what happened was this went on for maybe an hour and a half. And this guy had me by the neck and he was just absolutely pacing. He had a bag in his hand of all the money that me and my roommate had in our home, which was quite a bit. We had money for rent and other, bill money and personal cash. Anything worth money he had in a big bag. He had ransacked the house. Apparently I had walked in and caught this guy in the middle of all this, is what I think. And when I came back so quickly, he probably thought, uh-oh. And I don't know. I don't think that he planned on holding me. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. So what happened was I knew that he was on drugs. I knew that he wasn't thinking correctly. I knew he was greedy and I knew he was dangerous. So I thought, okay, what can I say? I had tried everything. I'm like, please, man, if you do this, they're going to get you. They're going to know you did it because you're right next door. Come on, man. You think the neighbor's not the first person they're going to go to. And he was kind of freaking out because I was saying things to make him paranoid about, if you do, you're going to prison again. Have you been to prison? And we started talking this weird game, and my instincts kicked in. And something told me that this guy was very dangerous. So what happened was, flash forward again, I said, look, I've got a friend, which I did, who has a lot of money, which I did. He did. I said, I can have him come over right now and bring some cash to you if you'll just let me go, man. And his greed took over, and he agreed to let me do that. He literally said, okay. And so I called my friend and I said, look, man, he's like, what's going on? Because he knew in my voice there was something wrong. I said, I need you to come here now and I need you to bring $500 because that's the amount the guy wanted. Right now, $500. And I'm like, Andy, please. And he's like, man, should I bring a gun? And I go, yes. Anyway, come now. And my friend's like, what's going on? I go, anyway, just come soon. And he knew there was something wrong because I wouldn't answer him. I hang up the phone. My dude's, this guy that's got his arm around my neck's telling me, give me all your money. I said, you've got it all. Everything that we've got in our home is in your hand, you know? And it was very petrifying. But the next thing you know, my friend shows up about 15 minutes later. And he pulls up out front. I have a big picture window in this little house we rented, right? And he pulls up, and so we're looking out that window as my buddy's pulling in and can basically look in and probably see us at this point. This guy all of a sudden realizes out of his white drug-induced frenzy that, oh my God, what did I do? There's another guy here now. And that he's absolutely seeing us. He's sitting right there. We're seeing him. And this guy took his arm around from my neck and he bolted out the back door. And I was just like, oh my God. So my buddy comes to the door. He's completely freaking. He's got a gun. He's got a handgun. And I told him, it's all good now. And he's like, what the hell? So I said, just come in. I'll explain it. And I did. So flash forward about 30 minutes. And it was decided that one thing I had forgotten to tell you guys is this guy told me during that since I was living next door to him and we were having so much traffic that he wanted $300 a month from me in order to live next door to him and continue to have that because he thought we were selling drugs because he was, obviously. That's where all the people were coming to his house. It wasn't rock and roll parties like mine. And he wanted to literally charge me $300. This is 1991, mind you. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I was agreeing to anything. I would have said anything to get out of being killed. And so the dude told me, he was extorting me, telling me $300 a month. And I said, okay. And so we ended up calling the cops because I wanted to get my stuff out of there because I moved out of that night because I knew that I was in gang territory, which I was right. When I started talking about the prison, flash forward the next day, I'm sitting downtown across from a guy in a suit and a tie in a desk. And he's looking at me, this rock and roll guy, and I'm like younger, and I'm wearing my leather jacket and this and that. And he immediately lets me be known that he's not going to help me. He's not going to pursue this case. F you. But I want to give you some background on this guy you're dealing with. And I said, dealing with? I've just moved into this house, man. I've been there very short time, and I don't bother anybody. And he says, this guy literally was paroled to that house because that's his aunt. And you have to parole to a family member when you're in prison. This guy just got out of prison in Chicago, and he was doing time for murder. He was working as a security guy at a drug house of that same white substance kind of house. And this is not funny. I'm laughing out of the sheer perplexity of it all. But this guy was literally in prison for murder, and he came down and did that to me and told me he was going to end my life. And something told me to say, they're going to question you. But anyway, folks, that's the story of what happened. And I'm telling you, that was one intense experience. And please subscribe to this channel if you liked your story you heard, because I've got more coming. Please like it down below. And if you want to leave a comment saying something good, bad, or ugly, that'd be rad. Adios. And until next time. Oh yeah, my buddy Brian from Birdeater Entertainment. Cool.